you were born with a particular set of gut microbes that set the course of your health for your entire lifetime, shaping your immune system, your weight, your mood, even how well you sleep at night. And most of us are down to a fraction of what we should have to keep us healthy because nobody told us they needed feeding. And here's the part that should stop you. When these microbes go hungry, some of them start eating your gut lining, that very barrier that keeps you protected. So start with one of these science-supported foods to feed them up that I'm about to show you. Because once they're gone, they are gone. And they take their essential day job with them. And you can think of your gut microbiome like a garden that you didn't plant, you inherited. And it was seeded at birth, ideally handed down by your mother, and how you were born and how those microbes are fed set the foundation for everything. Either a body that is built to cope or starting a step behind. In my clinical practice, I see this problem getting worse. The gut lining thins, this can be called mucosal collapse, and the inflammatory irritants slip across the barrier that's meant to hold them back, and then the person starts having more and more unexplained symptoms. Now, that's why gut health is at the foundation of all over health for the body. And I know you might be thinking, that's all right, I'll take a probiotic. It doesn't work because those strains pass straight through you. They're transient visitors. They're not the gut residents that you were born with. And you can't replace what's already died, but you can feed back the gut garden that you still have. And the earlier you start, the more of it that you will save. And the better defended your body will be. It's science that's so new, it's barely reached the public, and yet it's been around for millennia in traditional cultures. And those cultures, even alive today, have no chronic disease. There's people there that have never had a headache or depression. The women go through menopause and barely notice it. And the research is only just now catching up. And there's just a handful of people bringing it forward, like Mary Ruddock at the forefront. She's an ancestral nutritionist whose work I genuinely admire. And it's never too late to improve this ecosystem. Even the oldest living part of you, the part that hasn't been fed in a really long time, can start to recover. It starts with small amounts of particular foods, each feeding a different microbe that rebuilds your health from the inside. So stay with me. The rest of this video shows you the birth microbe boosting foods to include in your weekly or monthly meals. But note, if you do have an allergy or intolerance to any of these foods, I don't recommend including them. Food 1, hibiscus tea. Let's start with the one that's actually not a food, it's a drink, but it's super easy. Hibiscus tea, that's a deep ruby red tea bag you probably walk past 100 times at the supermarket. It's packed with polyphenols, and when researchers fermented it with human gut bacteria, they saw your birth microbes multiply and a jump in butyrate. This is a compound that feeds and strengthens the gut wall. Cultures from West Africa and the Caribbean have been brewing this for generations. Food 2, green plantain. This second one gets the chef in me very excited because green plantain, or you can use the flour, is unripe, and the unripe means resistant starch, the kind your body can't digest, so it travels all the way down to where the microbes are waiting hungrily. One thing to know though is the whole plantain does need to be cooked, but the flour is more forgiving, so I usually point people there because you can add it to things like smoothies or a spoonful into pancakes or baked goods. You can thicken it in a soup or a stew. It behaves like a flour. Nobody has to taste it either. Now, if you're going for the whole plantain, you can boil it, then cool it, slice it, pan fry it, the way that the tropics have eaten it forever. Now, let me know out there, what is a great plantain dish we can cook? And you can find that flour in even the health food aisle usually. And the plantains themselves can be at, say, the Latin or Caribbean or African or Asian grocer. Now, one caveat that matters is the resistant starch is still a fermentable fiber, which is really healthy. But if your gut is irritated, you really want to start very small, quarter teaspoon maybe, not a big scoop. And if that bloats you, then come off it and try it again later. The microbes are microscopic. So they don't need very much. Tiny amounts helps bring their numbers back. So better to start with these foods low and slow, and mix them up so they feed different species. And coming up are two everyday things, one in your bathroom, the other in the laundry, that are quietly killing off your good microbes. Because it's important, these microbes run the show. They steady your mood, they train your immune system, they help balance your hormones and your blood sugar, and they help you sleep. So the research is clear on that. And if you have fewer of them, which is what's happening in this modern world, everything gets harder for your body and it becomes difficult to function optimally. What a challenging word. So one of the birth microbes, for example, Bifidobacterium infantis, this is passed from mother to baby at birth, and more of it early on means fewer allergies later on, but it is starting to vanish from modern guts, and why it still thrives in some of these traditional cultures. The further and further away we get from our grandparents and the way they lived, the more protection we lose. But you don't have to live like a hunter-gatherer. Just include some of these essential foods and start using food as medicine to get you healthy again. Because as a university-trained nutritionist, I know how complicated nutrition can feel. And I'm here to make it as simple as possible. Food 3, shrimp shells. Say that 3 times fast. Yes, this is the part you normally throw away, but the shrimp shells are actually one of the richest natural sources of chitin. And this is one of the key foods for certain birth microbes. So what do you do with them? Well, cultures across Southeast Asia never wasted them. They have shrimp paste, they dried shrimps, they throw into papaya salad, they make stocks with the shells, and then they use them in soups like laksa. These are foods that I actually eat when I'm out very often, because it sometimes can be challenging to make them at home. And not only does it add a huge boost of flavor to the cooking, but it starts feeding these microbes. And some of the easiest versions for you to make at home is just stock with the shells. It takes as little as 20 minutes. You don't eat the shells, or you tip them out. You buy a good shrimp paste and try your hand at an Asian recipe. But if you have a shellfish allergy, you're gonna skip that one. Food 4. Now, next is something your grandparents likely loved. Poultry liver. Chicken or duck, a good pate, and a quality pasture-raised egg yolk. These are rich in celiac, I'm getting it confused, acid. One of the foods for your birth microbes that they directly feed on. Now, 2 notes for me. You want to stick with poultry, the chicken or the duck, rather than beef or pork or lamb. Those mammal, I cannot speak today. Organs carry a form of this sialic acid that humans can't use. And sometimes you get a bit of inflammation. So the poultry gives you the best version without that kind of baggage. And if you've recently been through antibiotics or you're in a flare, leave this one for now, because in a really disrupted gut, this food can actually feed the wrong microbes first. Now, check out my talk on protecting your gut after antibiotics if that's you. Now, what to do with it? Obviously, you can have a scoop of pate on a cracker like I do, or just throw some liver through a bolognese sauce. I get my butcher to make up specialty sausages with some liver in small amounts included. Nobody knows they're there. Food 5. The last one's a bit different. Medicinal mushrooms, like reishi, for example. And reishi's polysaccharide strengthens the gut barrier and increase the cells that make that mucus on the lining. So that mucin production directly will help the gut. And reishi can be bitter, so you can drink it instead of eat it, say in a tea, or one of those mushroom alternative coffees can help. One note here though, what I've noticed that if you have chronic fatigue, then mushrooms can actually make you feel worse. And that's a sign that your lining is in a deeper state of collapse, potentially. So you just stop and you want to get some proper support there. When that barrier is damaged, it makes less of this enzyme that breaks down histamine. And when that histamine builds up, you end up with histamine intolerance and symptoms like flushing or headaches or overreact to bites like mosquitoes. You just kind of, everything sets you off, even healthy food, and you might react to foods that you were fine with before. Now, it's not in your head, it's actually usually a barrier problem. So if you're busy and you just want a way through this, I've put together a roadmap inside my gut reset and repair protocol, but it doesn't have the one-on-one pricing for consult. So you can go that way, and it's basically the exact path that I use with my private clients. It's got the full list of the birth microbe foods and the supplements if you prefer, recipes, and a reset shopping list and everything included inside. And I'll put the links below so you can go and check it out. Now, that bathroom thing that I promised you before, antibacterial soap, actually, that hand soap. So the one by your sink and the sanitizer in your bag, it actually doesn't know the difference between, say, a germ and a microbe friend. And so you're eating it from your hands, it goes through into your system from your skin, and the better swap is just plain soap with water. And one more while you're here is in your laundry, the synthetic clothes shed microplastics with every single wash. And those will end up in your water, in your food, and eventually they hurt your gut. Now, you don't need to replace your whole wardrobe, but maybe wash a little bit less, wash on cooler cycles, choose natural fibers like bamboo when you're replacing something anyway. So both those changes are there to protect what you've still got. So let's bring it all home. The hibiscus tea, the green plantain, shrimp shells, we've got chicken liver or duck liver, quality egg, and maybe some medicinal mushrooms like reishi in a cup. Just small amounts is fine, one at a time, and mix them up over the coming months. Now, guys, if this helped you, give it a like, send me a comment. I love reading what you've got to say, and that one click helps me show up for you every single week with these practical gut health videos. Now, because feeding them is only half the battle, there's a specific way that traditional cultures prepared their food that makes it far gentler on the digestion. And a lot of those foods that maybe you couldn't tolerate, like beans or quinoa, will be easier for your body to break down. So watch them before you forget. And until next time, love your guts.